Good evening, campers, dreamers, and babysitters, and welcome to our review and breakdown of the Scream 6 official trailer. So, yeah, we did a little video on the teaser. Not many people saw it. I think that got buried by YouTube. We had a real interesting time with the upload on that one. So,
They
yeah,
tried to silence us, but we will
I
not be silenced.
no, not at all. So, I mean, if you're curious, you can go back and check out our thoughts on that. But no, this is exciting. We kind of got some rumors. Some people on Reddit were kind of thinking from some poster teases and stuff they were releasing. There was the date of like there were numbers all put together of 11923. So people were kind of like, oh, it means that it's gonna drop on January 19th, the first real trailer, because the first one was a teaser, I guess, is kind of how they're
Yeah,
classifying it. I mean, it was what, like 58 seconds or something stupid? It was
yeah,
under a minute.
yep.
But yeah, no, that was pretty cool. So they were right. Yeah, we got the trailer today. And I did a little reaction to it. I threw it up there as a short. So you know, I definitely said I had a couple of gripes, but overall, it's looking pretty good. Luke, have you seen the trailer yet?
Yeah, I did. I watched a couple times. I didn't have time to do a little reaction to it, but overall, I think it's pretty exciting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the stuff that we saw in that little teaser returns here in the expanded upon trailer. But those scenes still work with me. We got a little expansion on that whole. I know there was a big talking point about the whole convenience store and Ghostface
Mm-hmm.
carrying a gun and everything like that. So we kind of got the context for that one, which for me, I think it works. It's pretty
Oh
interesting.
yeah.
I think I know we're gonna dive into it, so I'm not gonna get too deep into it. But that was probably one of the shining points of the trailer for me. I wasn't sure how that was gonna work, especially with all the news coming out of maybe Ghostface is using a gun throughout the whole thing, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to tell maybe a different story. But I don't think that's the case at all. Obviously, with this trailer, so I think it works. I think it's fun. But overall, I was pretty happy with this trailer.
I agree. So why don't we hop into it and take a quick gander at what's going on in the Scream 6 trailer. So I'm gonna throw that up there, turn that down. Should have probably done that before, but oh well, we're learning. And here we go.
We're getting there. You want to
Yeah,
knock this stuff off?
I love how oh yeah, sure. Let me knock all that out of there. But I was saying I love how they just kind of get right into it.
Yes. And I think that's a lot of fun because it's like, you're waiting for a really slow paced trailer to kind of introduce you to it. But nope, we're just coming right through the door and he's
Oh
shooting.
yeah. And I appreciate I think because and I doubt it's because of all the hate and everything. But it does kind of seem like a nice little nod to them of that where they're just like, "Oh no, he's using a knife. You just wait. He's using a knife." So he stabs two guys and then blasts the dude's face off.
Yeah, and honestly, I think they probably released some of that stuff intentionally to kind of maybe have that little bit
Mhm.
of outrage. So they'd be like, oh, no, we're just kidding. And I think that's a lot of fun, actually. Again, with this bigger world of New York, I think even using the gun in that convenience store idea really kind of gives you the bigger world picture.
Mhm. I love this shot. I think
Yes,
that's
I think that
really
was perfect.
creepy.
Yep. I love anything through those sort of frosted windows like that. I think that's a lot of fun. Really builds attention. Of course, we have
Mhm.
the graffiti here as well.
Yeah, I use that as the background. It's pretty nice. We're gonna definitely dive through this. I watched 3C's video on this before we did this, and he pointed out a bunch of fun Easter eggs. So I want to get your thought on some of them. This is the part that kind of just rubs me the wrong way a little bit. I love the guy getting killed in the background.
Yeah.
It's just the dialogue. I don't know, and I know Scream is known for its very self-aware dialogue, but
Yeah.
it's
I
just
mean,
like, eh.
I think they want to make especially the OGs of the franchise always the oh, we've been there, done that. We're not really scared of you kind of thing here. But and I think that's just where we're getting into where we want that different feel where it's like you think the OGs are always going to be one step ahead, but turns out nope. I think maybe Ghostface might be. Obviously, in 5 we saw Dewey get it. I don't know if we're gonna get one here. We're gonna kind of save them all for the next installment.
We will have to see. I guess that all depends on if Sidney Prescott makes a return. So that's all going to depend. But yeah, no, excellent trailer. We're going to go through piece by piece now on this, just
God,
because
that went
there's
so quick.
it did. Yeah, I mean, we were chit chatting, but it is a good trailer. Really, I think what pulls me out on that sequence, especially just so I can wrap that up because we're going to go through it silently, is the that banter juxtaposed with the new characters just being so terrified of everything going on. I think it's creating kind of an odd mix for me personally. I'm sure it'll play a little better in the movie. But it's just one of those things where it's just like I'm kind of over the whole "oh, we're so not scared of you" kind of thing. And then the line of "I'm something different," a little cheesy for me. It's just kind of like, okay, are you really though? Because that's kind of the whole thing we were waiting for in Scream 5 was it's like, okay, we're coming back, it's the modern era, like let's do something different here. And, we just got kind of more of the same.
No, no, no. I'm with you on that. Especially, I think maybe that dialogue, especially from Ghostface, there are a couple instances where I feel like maybe it's too on the nose, where we had already heard, oh, he's gonna, this killer's gonna be different, more of a threat. And then once we have to hear the actual killer themselves say it, I'm like, do we really need that? We've been hearing it already so many times.
Hmm.
And then to actually hear it verbalized by Ghostface himself, I'm like, for me, that particular piece of dialogue did not hit at all because I was like, we're getting way too on the nose with some of this.
I agree. But let's take a look at this piece by piece, break it down. Again, I love the sweeping city shots. New York is a really solid place to put this. Um, one of the things that people have been pointing out on Twitter and stuff, especially, is I didn't really catch it. Is just that this usually Ghostface tends to, when you get into a more public setting with more people, tends to scamper off and kind of, get away. It's
Pop up
very
at some other point.
interesting, yeah, that he just kind of he's got the balls to just go into this very populated convenience store or whatever and just gut these people like right in front of them. It's
And
kind of nuts.
I think that's the aspect that they're trying to portray. I mean, we always draw the comparison. You're not going to be able to not do it with Jason Takes Manhattan, where they're on the subway and he's trying to kill them, and they're screaming for help, and people kind of just look like they don't really care. For this one, I feel like yes, Ghostface is bold, but also I think with that New York City vibe, where yes, there are several people in the convenience store. I mean, you see someone get stabbed, and then everyone else makes their way outside of the store, which I
Yeah,
think is going to be the case in most instances anyway. So I feel like we're really drawing on to that big city vibe, and just because there's a handful of people there doesn't mean that anyone's really eager to help you. So you're very much alone anyway, and I think you do get that vibe here.
absolutely. I agree. And that's the thing. Other people pointed out with the teaser is that it's like in New York, or like Woodsboro, this stuff's going on. It's a small town. The police force is probably very active and able to get on top of that. Obviously as much as I can for it being a horror film franchise.
Yes.
But, we're in New York City where it's like, they are not the only people that are dealing with, stabbings, muggings, things like that. Horrible shit going on. Like this is a hustling and bustling city with tons of people suffering all around. You know what I mean? So
And before you start this real quick, I just want to bring this up, and I'm gonna mope for one moment here. How fun would it have been to see Dewey adjusting to a New York City life, like coming
I
up from what
thought the same thing. I,
so fish out of water would have been so much fun.
the guys over at We Watch Movie, they're always pulling the joke, the wrong kid died. I totally agree. We're going to talk about it more when we cover Scream 5, probably later in March when this film's about to come out. But it's one of those things where it's like, I think that Gale probably should have been the one to go.
I think
And
so
then we
too.
could have seen a very sad, suffering kind of Dewey.
Yep.
Especially, it would make this so much better. And I know we're going on a tangent here. But it's one of those things where it's like, if it does so happen that we get our request and Stu ends up being one of the Ghostface, or like he gets away in this film, like we don't see him, but by 7, him and Dewey are confronted, and it's so much more personal at that
Yes.
point. Where it's like, he killed, like he can even bring up that he orchestrated the murder of Gale and everything. It's like
And
I
then
just hate it, because it's like
and then we
we're
add
big David
in
Arquette fans too. So
Rose McGowan's character, obviously, I don't think they ever got that kind of settled either. So I think that would have
Mm,
been, a double whammy. I think would have been interesting. I think a lot of people forget about, but
yeah.
never to
uh,
be realized.
there's so much they could have done with that, but it is what it is. But let's keep going here. We can talk more about the mask and stuff here shortly. I love the way they're shooting this. It is very, if this is kind of how they're presenting it in the actual film, I love kind of the handheld nature of everything
Yeah.
in this sequence. Absolutely love that. The
Yes.
ruthlessness of this ghost face to just be like one-handed shotgun blast, the dude's face is just gone.
You feel that he's on a mission, 100%. You
Yes,
know what I mean? Like,
he feels like the fucking Terminator
yes.
in this. Like that's the vibe I got. Like I felt very much like this is an unstoppable force, and I like that. That's something, because the Ghostface is kind of known for being more human and being more bumbling, as to
Yeah.
where this one specifically, because obviously we kind of are getting the hint that there's going to be multiple Ghostface. There always is, but I'm thinking, and a lot of people are thinking, there's going to be even more than just two. There could be more than three. So it's one of those things where it's like, I'm sure there's going to be room for people to be not as coordinated, but this is a very, very coordinated, methodical ghost face, and I like it a lot. It really does ramp up the tension in this trailer right off the bat.
Yeah, you can definitely tell that uh there's something more there, I guess. As you said, everyone's really kind of known for being, bumbling and falling down and not really hitting the right moments, where this one feels so methodical. So, they have that motive. And that's kind of something that, I've been kind of thinking about since we saw this trailer, and everyone keeps bringing up this whole Stu thing, which we'll kind of get in there, probably our closing thoughts, maybe, or a little bit later, and then I'll kind of bring it up. But it seems like, maybe that this ghost face here is part of a bigger plan. But
Oh yeah, I'd hope so, man. I really want them to keep going with doing something a little fresh with this. And I love this. We get a kind of a quiet sequence here.
the
Uh,
tension in the convenience store here is perfect already. I can't wait to see this drawn out in the theater.
I know, and it's like this is the kind of stuff where it's like, it's really a shame that we started so late with this channel as opposed to this, because the last one came out last January.
Yep.
So it's like everybody could have known our thoughts already on Scream 5, and everything, and we could have gotten it out there of just how we feel about it, because it's like, we do say we're disappointed in that film, but it's like Radio Silence still does an excellent job with building tension, and I think like this film especially is them going to be able to stretch their legs a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, I think maybe that this was something that they always had in their minds, is we want to move it out of Woodsboro. So maybe in that first film they were kind of,
They had to play it
stuck.
safe. They had to
Yeah.
prove themselves.
And then get out and do their own thing.
Absolutely. Um, and then we see, our main lead here, one of the Carpenter sisters, the two, obviously her and Jenna Ortega, Melissa here. She is, in therapy. So we know that's a big part of it. We're talking about the mask here. Now, people are saying this looks like a shot towards the end of the film. I'm curious, because a lot of people are hinting that this is the mask from the first Scream film. It would make sense why it's all degraded and things like that. And I'm fine with it. I think it looks fine. It's very much 2018 Michael Myers. I don't mind it looking a little rough. That's the thing about these, is that there have always been multiple versions of a ghost face mask, even though the films kind of just use the standard plain white.
Yeah.
They've always kind of hinted towards the background of Stab having different masks and things like that. I think that this is cool. I'm just a little worried why she's holding it right now,
Yeah.
because it's kind of like, oh, do we get the reveal of this one or what? It's like, I don't know.
Well, for me, not necessarily maybe the end of the film, but maybe the end of a night.
Hmm.
And this feels like a moment after a big death, maybe a big death, and then we're kind of recouping and coming back for more. Like the death of Dewey, or something like that. So maybe the death of Gale, maybe the death of a few of her friends, or something like that, and the person loses a mask. I mean, we're going to get into it.
It's a good
There's
point.
obviously a multiple masks, so why are we going to double down on just one? So
Yeah,
do they come back with a different mask? So on. So who knows?
absolutely. And it's like a lot of people kind of hint towards that connection there. of that being Billy's mask and Stu, obviously, so it has a lot of connection for her. Again, love this shot. This is really classic Scream here. This really builds that tension. Again, really playing up on the fear. It's really tough to tell. I want to say this is a different mask just because it doesn't look as gray washed.
Yeah.
And you can see the brighter tones, but we really won't know until the film comes out. And there we go with Hayden Panettiere making a return with
Kirby's
Kirby.
back.
Yep, I know a lot of people have been looking forward to that. I
I
actually really enjoy her character.
I
So,
absolutely love Kirby.
yeah, I think that this is great. I'm happy to see her return.
I just hope she
Um,
has the same personality from the 4th one. They don't
a
strip
lot
it
of people
away.
have been saying that too.
Yeah.
They're wondering if her situation kind of traumatized her to not be so much into movies. It is confirmed by a still shot. You might be able to make it out in the trailer here, but like a promo shot that was released before the trailer. She has a police badge, so she is a New York City police officer.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's one of those things where she's going to be doing that. I'm wondering if she's more of like a detective,
Yeah.
because it's like, obviously she'd be wanting to solve homicides. I'm sure that really the her events of that motivated her and everything. So I'm really curious. I do like this scene of seeing everybody back together. I do wonder now. This screams to me at Scream. When I tie it with another shot towards the end here, that this is maybe the scene right before the title. This might be the slash before, right at the opening,
Oh, okay.
because the way
Oh,
it cuts, it seems that way.
yeah.
Obviously, I like the graffiti. I really want them to use New York City as a playground for
Yes.
Ghostface. I want him to be using the entire city, like just making it so, and it doesn't have to be the whole fucking city, obviously, but like I want him to be, not just a couple buildings here. I want him to take advantage of the setting, like
Yeah.
really chase them around.
Well, and that's what I initially thought seeing those stills of Ghostface in the convenience store. I thought maybe it was just a fun way of someone, holding up a convenience store and using a Ghostface mask. So I was really hoping that we kind of get just a bunch of random people wearing the Ghostface mask because it doesn't have its significance that it does in Woodsboro. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a lot of people in New York can just wear that, especially being around Halloween time and everything like that. So I really want them to kind of go big, focus on that paranoia, especially as we're going to get into it. If there is more than just two ghost faces like we're usually seeing, I think you can really amplify that paranoia by just random people wearing the ghost face mask as well as those threats that are wearing the ghost face mask.
Absolutely. And then this is kind of one of the bigger reveals here, that we get, where they kind of walk into this, where it's people are kind of wondering. She calls it a shrine in this. Some people are speculating that this is going to be more of a like an exhibit that was going on.
This is what I
Like
was
kind of
getting
a.
confused about. Well, yeah, was this a personally owned thing by what we're saying is Ghostface or
I could
by
see
like
it going both ways. Personally, I think it would be cooler for it to be an exhibit that gets rated by whoever our Scream, our Ghostface is. So it's one of those things where I like that. There is a nice couple of Easter eggs here. Obviously, Woodsboro. I don't know if that's specifically anybody.
well, like okay, so this is my thing. I have a if this is an exhibit, totally fine. That's my preference. That's what I thought this was gonna be. If this is like owned by Ghostface, that's where I have an issue because it's like a goddamn Batcave, and it's like, how much money does this person have in order to be owning all this memorabilia? Because it's like, yeah, a lot of the stuff you probably have to acquire, um, whether you paid for it or didn't pay for it, but it's not going to be, it's not going to be a cheap process here, especially with everything that we're seeing.
And it's one of those things where it's like, some people are saying that if it could be up to, because there's 9 masks, it could be up to 9 people, so it could be like a almost a cult, like a group of people
Yeah, that's what I was gonna,
kind of pulled together to make this happen. So
and
there's
from I don't know, I don't buy it. I that was where my head was going as well. I hope that they leave this as an exhibit that has been rated.
I don't recognize this. I thought maybe it was Drew Barrymore's sweater from the first one, but it's obviously somebody I'm not as well versed. This is the mask from the play. One of the masks
And
used in the
two,
play from two. Yep.
okay,
So we get a lot of fun stuff with that, and yeah, there's a lot of good shit here. So if you see this right over here, where you see the cursor,
yeah,
that remember when Jerry O'Connell was strung up into?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's
And
the little sun thing he was strung up on. We have Stu Macher's robe right there from the first film.
Okay, yeah.
And then if you look over here, that's Tatum's clothing
Okay.
from the first one.
That's what I'm
And
saying. Like, how in the hell would you get a hold of all this stuff if
I
it's
don't know, man.
personally owned? That's what
That's
I
why
mean.
it would be nice to be in the way it's set up. It does look like it could be an exhibit.
Yeah.
And then this is supposedly some kind of reference to one of the Stab films. This they're saying is an mind you, I forget her name, but Sydney's niece. This is her
Oh.
clothing
Okay, gotcha.
from the fourth film. And yeah, there's a couple more in here. Obviously, if you guys want to pause and kind of look around, this is Billy Loomis's shirt. We know that. And then if you look right here, Luke, I know it's a little obscured. I can try to get us a little closer. Can you make out what that is?
I can barely see it, to be honest.
That is a smashed television.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that is the television that landed on Stu Macher, is what everybody's kind of theorizing there. So it's like, okay, that's been recovered. Very interesting. Obviously, we have this. I really like this. There's nameplates. So I'm very curious to see, if they're just going to represent all the killers' names and everything. And we see, obviously, she's walking up to this one, so we can assume this is the original cloak, and
Yeah.
she's going to be taking a look at that. So lots of fun shit here. And so, yeah. Oh, this is one of the newer, if I can get it. One of the newer additions right here. That's the kid who plays Spider in Avatar in the center.
Oh,
I
okay,
couldn't catch
great.
it.
No, I love my
But
Avatar films.
he was a pretty solid actor, so he's one of our new additions as well as this gentleman here. So it's one of those things where it's like people are kind of suspecting, oh, is this, are we looking at potential killers or members here?
None of them are.
Mm-hmm. And then we get this sequence, obviously, with Gale. Again, dialogue's a little cheesy. People are saying this is Gale's boyfriend who gets it. And it's kind of funny.
Good.
3C was very happy about this. Yes, exactly. Same reaction, man. Everybody's like, well, good. The Gale's the only, her true love died in the last film.
There we go.
But hey, if Stu Macher lived, maybe Dewey can come back. I don't know. Don't
There we
kill
go.
anybody. That's
Maybe
what I
he's
say.
he's a killer now.
Mm-hmm. Maybe he can come back as a ghost, just like Billy did.
Oh, let's do that. Let's do like an American Werewolf in London. He's just come back deteriorated.
But I do like this. I think this is very cool. Again, it's the other mask. And yeah, it just looks intense, man. It looks like they're really going for some really intense shit here. And I like her taking the shots.
Yeah, I'm curious if they're gonna pull the trigger on this one. I mean, we already had Dewey go.
Mhm.
I think people are thinking another OG will go, which obviously has to be Gale. Oh, I guess Kirby maybe, but I think Kirby's gonna stick around for a little bit.
Mhm.
And after everyone was so up in arms about not having her come back, and then finally have her come back. I don't see her dying in this one, but I don't know. I don't know if they'll. This one I could see just a layover and waiting till the next one to kill everybody. Get
Yeah,
that body
and
count up.
I mean it would be very Halloween Kills in a sense.
Yeah.
To
Oh my
really
god.
kind of not crescendo everything, which I'd be fine with. I mean, I like the middle chapter being a bit more run and gun. I do think this is neat. This is probably towards the climax or maybe in that theater that they're in,
Yeah.
having the ghost face painting with that. It's very, very Scream. This is the other thing that people are kind of pointing to. Again, multiple ghost face. We have one here. Obviously, it seems like Jenna Ortega is looking at somebody else. So we can confirm there's at least two.
We cannot.
This looks like a great sequence. Them going from building to building here. And I'm very, very curious to see who's going to bite it.
This is actually the same apartment building that Evil Dead Rise is taking place in.
Oh, yeah. So we just go into the other movie. Very nice. Yeah, I don't know exactly what this is in reference to. It's only a couple flashes, but clearly this looks like we're coming down to the climax. Again, I think this is taking place in that theater. So I'm very curious to see what happens here. And yeah,
you didn't have her sweater on that she did earlier.
Yes, but she is covered in blood. So And yeah, obviously it looks like they're kind of running through the probably like the back entrances to this, probably the stage, everything
Yeah,
like that. So, I am very curious to see what's going on. Now, here's me going back to that shot that I thought was at the beginning. So you see, it's kind of like an apartment, and
yeah,
earlier it did look more like an apartment. These are apparently this guy, and then we see Samara Weaving from Ready or Not.
yeah.
She's in this too. People are kind of thinking that they are the opening kills because
Oh, yeah, that
they're
makes sense.
featured very briefly in the trailer.
Yeah,
And then obviously, I think this is, now that I'm looking at it, I think this is Melissa Brea, or however you say her last name. Um, I think that's her falling. It
yeah.
looks
I think so too.
consistent. The blood all over her
Yeah,
arms, obviously in the theater, and then we pretty much just crescendo with the teaser. So which is nice. Again, they've given us enough footage here to look through. I'm very happy with everything that we've gotten. And then yeah, we're cut right in there. And the other thing that supports my theory is just because I'm so obsessed is and I mean again, New York, it could be anywhere. Uh-huh. Is Did you see that? Fuck me. Sorry guys, I gotta get better at this. Looks like the alleyway that
yeah,
we had there before. And then yeah, and then again the apartment.
yeah,
So I'm thinking they're both going to get offed at the same time. And I think I can kind of do a little bit more investigation there because is that the same? Nope, that's a different mask too. So
yeah.
two killers. Look at
There we
me.
go.
I am investigating the Woodsboro murders. But yeah, that's pretty much everything we got there for the Scream trailer. Definitely gets us excited. Scream 6, can't wait for it. Again, we have our gripes about Scream 5, and we will get into that once we get a little bit closer to the release of this film, just so you guys can, at least know our thoughts, so we can kind of get some stuff off our chest. Just very similar to how we did Halloween, only we had to cover 2 movies at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a 3-hour long podcast if you guys want to check that out and know how we feel about 2018 and kills.
What a
Um,
time.
but yeah, no, I still think this looks like a lot of fun, a lot of intensity, great amount, like a ton of Easter eggs in this. And I think this is the right franchise for it. I think that this is a good, really solid bit of fun. I think this more so than like a lot of the other franchises is ripe for Easter eggs because it still has that meta angle.
Yeah.
So, it's one of those things I always look forward to it. And yeah, I love the intensity. I love where they're going with it. I really hope it doesn't let me down.
Yeah, I think it's a strong trailer. I've said it a billion times. I always go into these Scream films pretty positive. I always think that they're gonna do some good storytelling. So then, I, I don't have that preconceived notion. If I didn't like the last one, I'm gonna go into this one hating it already.
Mhm.
So, I'm ready to be enthralled by this one. I think the trailer's really strong. They have a lot of strong ideas here. I'm curious to see how this, multiple ghost faces is going to play out. For me, it feels a little congested if we're getting into almost 9 ghost faces or anything like that. So I'm interested to see how that plays out if they go that route with it. One of the things I was thinking was, they doubled down on in Scream 5 about, we met on a message board and such and
Mhm.
such. I'm just curious. I know everyone's expecting Stu in this one, but what if he's just the mastermind behind the keyboard, putting together so many people, and then we're waiting for him to show up until the very end of this one, kind of leading over
I'm
into the last one.
so okay with that. That would be wonderful. I like that idea.
So it's like that's kind of what I was thinking. Like if he's kind of getting into everyone's head already, we've already doubled down on this kind of toxicity of message boards and fandom and everything like that. So if he's kind of playing the strings here and being the master puppeteer and kind of letting these guys do the bidding, and then he shows up toward the end and it's like, well, it's been me all along. Especially if we play with the Gale one toward the end, if he gets Gale and then finally takes off the mask and we realize it's been Stu. I think that could be interesting, especially end this one more so on a somber note rather than kind of we've all unmasked, everyone killed the killers, and we're ready for the next one. So I think this one does have to end on a different beat than the last ones, especially since we're gonna go into the next installment. And this one, at someone has to carry over to the next film. I don't think you bookend this one and try to restart the next film with a fresh face. It's like I think this one I think has to end with a bunch of questions.
Absolutely, I agree 100%. I like I like the idea of having a ghost face kind of carryover, or an antagonist
Yeah.
carryover again. Like, we've just never had that. I think that's nice and fresh. And I think that, again, some of you guys might hate to hear it, but I think that this could be a very good, if it goes the kind of you know Halloween Kills approach of being more fast paced, more brutal. They are saying this is going to be the bloodiest one of them all. And it's just like, really lay on the punches and then hit us with a shocking ending. And then, you can really tie things up in three. Don't go the route of Halloween Ends and then introduce another character, Stephen Prescott, and we completely focus on him.
He becomes obsessed with
Ghostface
the mask.
transfers his essence. Don't do anything like that. Just stay the course, finish your trilogy out, and I think it could be pretty solid.
I don't know if they go that route. Maybe we'll be here in a year comparing what is it, Scream 7 to Christine.
Oh yes, yes, that'd be quite a lot of fun. But alrighty, guys, that's gonna wrap us up here for our Scream 6 official trailer breakdown. Thanks for watching with us. Definitely let us know your theories and thoughts on the trailer below. Yeah, we're really looking forward to this, of course. But what you can stay tuned for is on the channel here. We got quite a lot of good stuff coming. It's been a very busy week for us. We got our interview with director Kyle Edward Ball. Got to sit down with him for
A lot of
nearly an
fun.
hour, discussing his latest flick, Skinamarink. And just a super nice guy. Really gave us a lot of good stuff on there.
And go out and
Super
see it
proud of
if you
that.
haven't already.
Yes, please do. It's quite good. It's very experimental, very different. I promise you, it's unlike any horror movie, dare I say, movie you have ever seen in the theaters. As well as check out our review for Skinamarink also, because we had a lot going on there. As well as we talked about The Last of Us, episode 1,
Yes.
and we'll be covering that week by
Watched it
week. So
again.
yeah, no, very solid episode, right? So
Very.
yeah, so definitely catch up with us there, and then we'll be covering that week to week. So, alrighty, guys, that's probably going to wrap us up here for now. So, I guess until next time, I'm Dylan Newell.
And I'm Luke Janesco.
And remember, stay scared.